Comes to having this chance over the next couple weeks to be the co-defensive coordinator, and are you interested in being the full-time defensive
Well,
coordinator?
I just think it's important for me just to have the opportunity to learn and continue my growth as my past continues to excel. But and the other thing is just we're trying to keep it as consistent as we can for our players, so they can go out and play well. Our whole staff is still back. I think we can get a really, really good game plan together based on, what we've done all year. And we just want to have the kids ready to play and play their best when we go play Ole Miss.
Please raise your hand. We'll take a mic to you. We'll go with Mike in the middle, and then we'll go Pickle after him. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
Question about calling the game. Can you look at it, let's say calling a blitz, for example, and say, well, this is what Manny would have done in this situation? Or did he have sort of an eccentric feel for that that nobody could duplicate?
Well, in my opinion, no one can be Manny Diaz. He's Manny Diaz. I mean, I think you just have to be yourself and call it the way you called it. I called it, 3 years at Connecticut. Obviously I called it 2 years ago when we was in the Outback Bowl. So everybody have that different style of how they see it. Of course, I done learned and watched Coach Manny and how he operate and certain calls he'll make in certain times. But he had a uniqueness about the way he called the game, and I think every play caller has a uniqueness of how they would call it.
In the front, correct.
Coach, how would you describe your uniqueness in that regard?
I don't know. You get to the game and you get a feel for it. Just how the team playing you, how your team is playing, what's working. Do you need more man? Do you need more zone? So I think each game plays itself out different. I mean, we went into game plans this year, and even Coach Manny, based on what we had repped the most, sometimes we called the least just because of the flow of the game or matchup issues or matchup that favored us. So I think you get to the game, you see how they're trying to play you. Obviously they got our tapes, we got their tapes, but everybody gonna put a little wrinkle in. You got a little bit of extra time, so just got to get to the game, see how the game flow going, and then you have to call it accordingly.
In the back, Max.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing? I'm curious. We've started to hear a lot more about Rob Smith toward the end of the season as his involvement has gone up, but I'm curious. We don't get to see a lot of him. What can you tell us about him from your experience?
Well, Coach Smith, obviously he's a great guy. Obviously he's been in the building all year, brings a wealth of experience. So obviously his knowledge of being a DC for a long time and just being around our program, being around our kids, being around Coach Manny, knowing what we run, it's going to be a big help.
This defense has been so special for a number of years. Coach Franklin just talked about it. Sometimes when you're taking over as a coordinator, you could say, like, hey, we're going to improve, we're going to change, but it's the top defense in the country. What does that mean to you? And is that motivating, challenging, or is that a great opportunity to continue a tremendous legacy?
I think Coach Franklin made a great point. Penn State was playing great defense before I got here. Obviously when Coach Manny came here, we took it to another level. Like you said, when you're the number one defense in the country, it's hard to surpass that. But I don't think for this game, we still the same defense. And, regardless of, who's in the room, who's not in the room as coaches, the kids know, and Coach Manny talked about this all the time, we have a standard of how we play in defense. And I think the kids going to be ready to play to our standard. And, no matter who calling the game, they're going to be ready to go and prepared and play their hardest and try to play at their best. So.
Front middle, Mike.
Hey, Anthony, right here. Do you want to be the next defensive coordinator, and have you already interviewed for the job?
Well, me and Coach had several conversations, and, we're just seeing how things work out, but me and Coach had several conversations.
Daniel, over here on the right. We'll get a mic to you.
Kind of throw me off because the voice come from there, and I'm looking here.
Anthony, earlier James mentioned in terms of the transitions between the defensive coordinator for the players. He said that after Brent Pry left 2 years ago, that the relationships were so deep that a lot of players were pretty upset. How have you seen these players handle Manny moving on? What have the last couple of weeks been like?
Yeah, I think the kids, look, we got to give the kids some credit. They can see and read, and with social media nowadays. So I don't think they were shocked, but obviously, like, we with these kids a lot, and Coach Manny was excellent with them. Had built great relationships. I think that's why we played great defense. Our whole defensive staff, we hang our hat on the relationships we form with our players, not only just when we coaching them, but off the field. And the kids hurt that he left, but they know, again, that we have a standard of how we play defense, and coaching done a great job of whoever he brings in, getting great leadership and great relationship building in the room. Obviously, a large part of our staff is still here, so those relationships, it trickled down through the assistants as well. So, like I said, the kids will be ready to go, and, yes, would you want Coach Manny here for this last ride? Yes, but, the kids know this is life. This is life in this business. It's just like, when kids transfer or kids come out early, this is life in college football now, so you just got to, move forward. You got the game going to still go on, so I think the guys will be ready.
In the front, Greg, and then Neil.
From a game prep perspective, will you be upstairs or on the field for the Peach Bowl? And then where are you guys at in the game prep process, considering you've been on the road for 2 weeks, but the game's also 2 weeks away?
Well, I heard y'all say Coach looked terrible, so I was with him. So I hope I look a little bit better. But obviously our GAs and analysts been back breaking the tape down. We watching it whenever we had a chance when we came off the road. We'll really start grinding it. We started grinding this morning. We'll start grinding tomorrow, so really our prep will start the nuts and bolts and trying to get the game plan together. It'll start this weekend, and like I said, we didn't have practices and start putting bits and pieces. We didn't see what they do, but now we'll start to drill down on it, starting today and in the following days.
We'll go Neil and then Shane.
Actually, Greg took my question, but honestly, you look great, though.
Oh, appreciate you.
You played for George Welsh. Did you have much appreciation for Penn State before you got here? Were there other Penn State people who influenced you along the way?
I really knew what Penn State was. I really didn't understand how we did business at UVA until I got here. The no names, we didn't have names at Virginia. We always wanted names. We had to wear black cleats, no facial hair. So, when I get here and I hear how Joe Pa ran his program, it was like, wow, like I really was playing in a mirrored program. And I was fortunate to be able to play for Coach Welsh, and he had a lot of people in Virginia that had Penn State ties. So I knew a little bit about it, but it really dawned on me, and I really had an appreciation for what he had taught me when I got here once I learned more.
Coach, obviously with the Peach Bowl, you get a chance to see an SEC team in Ole Miss. As a team in the Big Ten and the reputation from the SEC, how excited are you for that test? And then what are some things that you've seen from Ole Miss early in prep?
It's always exciting when you can go down into the South and play a team like Ole Miss. Offensively, they got really good skill. They got a great wide receiver, got a great tailback. Really, really good quarterback, really good O-line. So it's going to be a challenge for us. They got skill. You can tell they've been recruiting well. Obviously, you're going against Coach Kiffin, who's been calling the games for a long, long time and does a great job with his team and getting them prepared to play teams. So, you just start watching the tape, and, we're going to have to be ready to go.
Audrey?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Audrey.
I wanted to ask about KJ Winston. Obviously, as the season progressed, how do you feel like he's played, and especially toward kind of the end of the season?
Well, early on in the season, he's trying to find his footing being a first-time starter. But each week you can just see his game just, growing and growing and growing. And proud of how he, just continued to get better all year. That's what you hope for as a coach. But you could see each week he got more and more comfortable just being in the game, making the calls in the game, then he started making the plays in the game. So he really did a nice job.
Go in the far middle here, Mark.
Anthony, what would appeal to you about being defensive coordinator here?
I mean, it's Penn State. It's Penn State. So I always played great defense here, but the appealing part is Penn State. It's one of the best programs in all of college football.
Any more questions for Dex? We'll go Andrew in the back.
Coach, this is more of a general question, but you guys finished the season at Ford Field, Michigan State. Playing in the NFL stadium and now going back to another NFL stadium, do you think there's benefit in having just played in one? Because I know these guys play in some great venues, but these NFL fields just feel a little different.
Yeah, I think the benefit is, they can almost see what they're trying to reach. Playing in that NFL venue, you go into Ford Field and, we talked about it as a staff with our players about, hey, look, you're going into an NFL, stadium. It's special. A lot of guys don't get to play in NFL stadiums, and hopefully in your future you'll be on one of these teams that be able to play in this stadium. So I think it's exciting for the guys. I think it helped that we did play in Detroit the last game of the season, so they won't be like overwhelmed. Oh, I'm in the NFL stadium. Actually, I done played in this game twice, coached in it once. So I think they in for a real treat when it come down to the Peach Bowl.
Last question in the back.
Coach Franklin took time earlier in the year to praise your impact on the secondary and starting to shift the narrative with Penn State secondary, with Johnny and Kalen and Daquan playing so well. What are you looking for when you're recruiting those players, and what makes you so successful in developing players like Johnny and Kalen and Daquan?
Well, first off, they got to have talent, of course. And then, myself and Coach Smith and, really the whole defensive staff, you just try to put them in a position where they can make plays and not overthink it. And I've been fortunate since I've been here. You show up in a room with Brisker and Tig, and it's like, and you got Kalen King, you got Johnny Dixon. But those kids want to be coached too. They take our advice, they take our coaching. And so it's a credit to the kids. I mean, you can coach your tail off, and if they don't want to listen and don't want to, respect what you're saying, you're not going to get the results we have gotten with our secondary. And they just come to work every day. They want to learn. They want to be coached. They selfless kids, and they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And I think in the secondary, a lot of times, we can be like receivers at times. I just want the ball, man. I just want the ball. I just want to make picks. But these kids want to play really good defense. They tackle. They do all the dirty work to be a really good football player, not just a corner. So obviously, everybody can see that they can cover and they can make picks. But you think about Johnny Dixon. He led a team or led the secondary in sacks, led the country in sacks for a DB. How many DBs can say that? So they just. I love those kids. I love every kid we got on the defense and on the team, really. But you talk about our secondary. You're excited to come to work because you know what you're gonna get, and these kids want to work, and they really respect what you're telling them.
Thanks, Dex.
All right, y'all have a good one.